Thank you, everybody. Happy Monday. Thanks for joining us for our July Sensi Exchange networking event. Hey, raise your hand if this is the first time you've been on a call like that. Not everybody's on the video. We've got a couple people who, first time you've been on one of our exchanges. Cool. I'd like to thank you for spending some time with us. I know how busy we all are. I'd also know how tough it's been for so many of us and these opportunities to get together, even if it's virtually. You know, we need this time to check in with each other, to meet new colleagues and help our businesses thrive. That's my goal, right? To get you all together so we can help our businesses thrive. But speaking of tough times, today we get to hear two of the hardest working CEOs in the hood, Alex Rowland and Annie Holman. Both have had the extra bonus of launching their businesses as the pandemic raced across California. We also have a special guest with us on board to tell us about an incredible virtual conference that's coming up in September. Some of you might recognize him here on our Hollywood Squares. Hey, Chuck, I'm going to unmute you, and if you could give us a little preview of the event that you've got coming up in September, we'd love to hear about it.
Absolutely. Is this thing on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Check, check.
Yes. So in the next 4 weeks, we will be selling approximately 50 sponsorships that come with, the sponsorship comes with a booth, different booth sizes depending on the size of the sponsorship. But it's going to be a virtual conference for cannabis on the future of cannabis and corporate responsibility. And it'll be kicking off September 8th and 9th in a 3D virtual immersive world where everybody will create avatars and walk around just like at a real conference. It is a super cool platform. The first time used in the United States that I know of. And our goal really is just to bring tremendous ROI to the exhibitors and the attendees, because some of the virtual events, you guys have probably been to them. There've been some cool parts. There've been some glitches. There've been some things we don't like. We literally searched far and wide for this platform. So it's called Emerge Canna, and the website has it all on there. There's videos and everything. And we are looking for attendees. We are looking for sponsors and exhibitors, and there's all kinds of different opportunities for people to get involved. But it's going to be a pretty big deal. And the next 4 weeks, we will be selling probably about 12 to 15 sponsorships a week between our team, some Sensi people, just some other reps that are out there. So it's really, truly a community event. But I got to tell you, this platform is really awesome, and we expect that it'll kind of change the game for virtual events moving forward, because it kind of looks like that Corona thing is acting up in certain ways. So we just want to make sure we can get together, do business. And like I said, this platform is truly developed for ROI and B2B events for the exhibitors and attendees. So it's kind of a different experience. But yeah, we're just really excited for it. Everything is all ready to go. And the next 4 weeks will be fun as we fill out our speakers and the attendees and of course the sponsors.
Right, that's great. And I'm also been helping bring some of those speakers and sponsors as well as panelists on board. And some of them are on the call today who are going to be speaking. And if you are interested in that or sponsoring, please let me know. I'm happy to give you some more information, send you the deck, and we can talk about what's possible. But I'm looking forward to it, Chuck. It looks like an amazing opportunity, and how perfect that Cannabis and Tech Today is behind it, because it's the newest tech available.
Yeah, we're super excited. And by the way, thank you for the people you've been sending. Our editorial board just last week went through the speakers. We probably had about 50, and we're expecting we'll get about 100 to 150 more. But you sent some amazing speakers, and I got to tell you, the lineup looks really, really good. So again, appreciate your help. And yeah, we're really excited for the event and hope all of you guys can be a part of it.
Cool. Thank you.
You're not going to be here, though.
Got to mute here. A little bit of feedback there. All righty. Now that we got that reverb handled, let's get this thing started. I'm going to hand over controls to our facilitator in chief, Michael Dietrich Chastain, who you've been hearing from. But first, let me say a couple of words about Michael. He's the founder of ARC Integrated and a skilled exchange certified facilitator. Michael works with groups of any size all around the globe, helping them improve communications and team effectiveness by focusing on emotional intelligence and leadership. If you'd like to connect with Michael or anyone on our call, you can send a note via the chat box or ask me for an introduction. All right, over to you, Michael.
All right, thank you so much. It's great to see everybody. Thank you, Chuck, for joining us and telling us about that event. That's super cool. And just as a heads up to everybody, we're managing the mute buttons, and so if we mute or unmute you, it's just to manage the sound here. It looks like somebody broke through the mute barrier, and I can't figure out who it is. Let's see, maybe Danielle, maybe? Danielle, I think you broke through somehow. All right, everybody. So why don't we do this? To get started, you're going to grab one of these guys. Show me you have one of these. This is just a pen, just a simple pen or a pencil. Wave it in front of the screen so that I can see that you have what you need. All right. I'm still getting an echo. Hey, Danielle, can you mute for us? For some reason, it won't let me mute you.
Looks like she's muted.
It looks like she is muted.
Okay, maybe it's someone else then. I'm still hearing an echo. Is anyone else hearing the echo?
Nancy, maybe. Nancy, are you muted?
No, I was hearing it before, but I'm not hearing it now.
Okay, all right. All right, so everybody's got their pen. I'm still hearing it, but we're going to keep rolling here. We're going to do what's called a scavenger hunt or a treasure hunt. Give me a raise of hands if you have seen a breakout room in Zoom before. Have you been in a breakout room before? Give me a raise of hands if you have. All right, cool. So about half of you or so. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to give you a couple moments to buy some time, but in a second, we're going to be sending you into breakout rooms. All that means is I'm going to hit a button, or you're going to be magically transported into groups in another Zoom room, and then we're going to pull you back. And in this other Zoom room, you're going to answer 2 questions that I'm going to give you. So those of you that are video off, be prepared to connect with other people in just a minute. And again, you can do that via audio, or you can do it via audio and video. Video is preferred, audio is mandatory. So I'll give you a couple minutes to do that. Here are your questions to think on as you roll into this treasure hunt. Number 1 is, in your immediate environment, wherever you are, you're just going to find something that makes you smile. Something that makes you smile. This could be a picture, it could be something on your desk, it could be something in your pocket, anything that makes you smile. So that's item number 1. Item number 2 is a representation of something that you've learned in the last 12 months. Something that you've learned in the last 12 months. And I'm going to drop these questions into the chat box, so you'll have access to them there as well. And here's a bonus question. If you get through explaining the first 2, the bonus question is, this thing that you learned in the last 12 months, what superpower emerged for you? What's a strength or a superpower that emerged for you via this lesson that you learned in the last 12 months? So real quick, your scavenger hunt, when I say go, you're going to have 60 seconds to go find your items. And when you get back, you're going to be magically transported into a Zoom room. Number 1 is find something that makes you smile. Number 2 is something that represents a lesson that you've learned in the last 12 months. When you get into your rooms, you're just going to share with each other. Each person goes around. And if there's time, see if you can share what was that superpower that emerged for you. All right, everybody good? Everybody ready to go? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to go on your scavenger hunt. All right, 60 seconds you have. Ready, set, go. Greenbee, Emily, Nancy, let me know if you're here. Emily, blue button. Yep, blue button. Do you not see a blue button? It should be on your screen. Can you let's see. Let me unmute you. There you go.
I'm not sure where the blue button is.
You know, see, it should be on your screen there. I can,
It says everyone, and it's blue.
Yep, should be. It might be behind the Zoom screen.
Behind the, I just did the Zoom for the browser.
Yep. Are you on a phone or a computer?
I'm on a computer.
Okay. Yeah, it should be a little blue button that says "Join Breakout Room."
Join the breakout. I don't see it.
Okay. Let me do this. I'm going to put you in the waiting room for a second, and then I'm going to send you into another breakout room. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Hang tight. Greenbee, Nancy, are you with me? Emily, are you there? Emily, are you there? Who made a new friend? Give me a thumbs up if you made a new friend in there.
I think we
All
all did.
right. All right. Awesome. Hey, I'd love to hear from maybe 2, 3, 4 of you an answer to this question. What is the thing that you learned that you appreciated about someone in your group? What's the thing that you learned that you appreciated? Real quick, like 30 seconds or less. What did you learn that you appreciated? It could be something about yourself, could be something about something you heard, and just give me a tall hand raise so I can see. Let's see. I'm coming to Nancy. I'm coming to you. Go for it.
Yeah, I heard something really, I thought, just perfectly timely. And that was really that, I'll share that it was from Susanna, but she was talking about the kinds of lessons she's learned lately. And one of them was to be more inclusive, and certainly with women, she felt, and women of color. And that for her business, she felt like that was a lesson that she needed to learn. And I just wanted to share that because I think it's timely and something that we could probably all benefit, particularly if we're not women-owned companies, to include that, to be more inclusive.
That is
for our
awesome.
brand.
Such an important thing right now. Thank you so much, Nancy, for sharing that. Let's hear from maybe 2 more of you. And again, just if your video is not on, you could raise your little orange hand like this. Or if your video is on, just raise your hand. What's something you appreciated that you just heard? Raise your hands tall so I can see you. I'm scanning the group here. What's something that you appreciated that you just heard? We have a quiet group today. Some shy folks today. What's something that you appreciated? You could also share what's the strength that you have that you'd like to share with the group.
Well, I have strength.
Who's this?
This is Nancy.
Hey there.
It says Bob A, because I think this is his computer, who's my husband.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, welcome. Thanks for chiming in. Go for it.
Yeah, it's just, I've been involved in this business for a very long time, way before it was legal. And so and for years I actually sold before it was legal, because that was the way to make some extra money. But for many years now, I haven't been selling it. I just use it, and I use it pretty much every day. And I'm happy to be able to do that. So I'm just glad that things are coming around a little bit more relative to this, as there are a lot of people in this country that use it and try not to tell people because they're afraid of either what's going to happen to them or what people are going to think about them. You can't really do that. If you use it and enjoy it. That's my 2 points, you know.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. You said your name was Nancy?
Yes.
Nancy, thank you so much. Appreciate you. All right, and Danielle, we'll wrap it up with you. Go for it. Oh, let's see. There you go.
Okay, that reminded me. That's what I heard that I valued during our discussion was the superpower of adaptability, and it was just it was so reaffirming. Like, yes, that is truly a strength and a superpower to be adaptable, and it'll help you survive any business, you know. So yeah, so that's what I got that I appreciated.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, everybody, go ahead and do this. This is a little way that we show appreciation on Zoom. Everybody put your hands up like this, okay? And then put them together like this and rub them really fast, create some heat. And then you just point it towards the screen. And that's just a way to say thank you. Thank you to those that shared. Thank you to those that participated.
Thank you.
Appreciate you all. All right, awesome. So on that note of adaptability, we're going to jump into our speakers, and they're going to teach us how to be more adaptable. So Alex, I'm coming to you, buddy. Nancy, do you want to give a little intro for Alex before we have him answer some key questions?
Unmute myself. There we go. Yeah, let me introduce Alex. It's been my pleasure to be working with Nootropics since just before they started. So it's a pleasure to have you on our call today, Alex. And for those of you who don't know him, Alex is the co-founder of Nootropic, a full-service cannabis manufacturing and distribution center in Santa Rosa. It's a really beautiful, big facility. He also serves as a co-founder of Ensemble Brands, an accelerator for cannabinoid-infused products companies, and is also the co-founder of ANP Holdings, a financial services company focused on cannabis and hemp markets. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you, Alex.
Awesome. Alex, welcome, welcome. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can.
All right, great. So Alex, as we discussed, this is going to be a little bit of an interview. And for everybody that's here, just to give you a heads up about where we're going, we're going to spend about the next 15 minutes. I'm going to interview Alex with some key questions. And for everybody that's watching, be thinking about what questions you have for Alex, because we're going to do a little Q&A at the end here. And you'll get to ask him some questions yourselves. So to kick us off, Alex, is there anything that you could add to the intro that Nancy just gave us about the depth of the service that you offer and anything about what you do? Just take us a little bit of a deeper dive.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Michael. And thanks, Nancy. It's been great working with you guys. As Nancy said, we've been working with Sensi, I think, for it's going on 8 or 9 months now. And it's been a great platform for us to get engaged with the Sonoma community and events like this. So I appreciate it. Yeah. So, Nootropic is, we're focused on manufacturing a lot of different products at this point in time. We have a type 7 facility. So that means we're making high-end concentrates like sauces and sugars and diamonds and cheddar and the like. But we've also added quite a bit of capacity around flower packaging. So we're packaging flower on behalf of our brands. We're making pre-rolls. We're doing those type 7 extractions. We're doing water extraction. So for hash production, we're making vape carts at this point in time, topicals, tinctures. We're about to start launching edibles with the help of Annie over at the Galley. And we've been doing some beverages as well. So our goal ultimately is to have products in kind of every single category and work with brands across all those different categories. We are purely focused on third parties, so we do not manufacture our own brands. We have no intention of launching our own brands or competing with our clients. Our goal is to make our brand partners successful.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex, for that deeper dive. And so during this time right now and in general, how are you maintaining safety and compliance? How are you navigating those waters?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge, right? I mean, I think that, we've been growing fairly rapidly. I think we were about 12 people or so on January 1st, and we're up over 90 now. And being able to put that many people in a building safely and make sure that we can do that in such a way that people feel safe and they're actually safe, I think is always a challenge. We run a manufacturing outfit, so there's a lot of interaction between people. So a lot of the work has really been conducted by our operations team to try to figure out how to do that in a safe and compliant way. And I think a lot of that gets exacerbated by a lot of the supply shortages, right? Getting access to a lot of the PPP we need to operate safely. A lot of that stuff is back ordered. We have an individual, Andy, who focuses purely on sourcing products, packaging materials and the like out of China. And he's been working overtime to try to make sure we're supplied with PPP in the facility. So it's definitely been a challenge, but I think we've done a pretty successful job. And I think as long as you make it a focal point of your operations and of your HR team to take that seriously and to put in place the procedures and protocols necessary to keep it a minimum. We haven't had a case yet. We temperature check everyone coming in the building every morning. Everyone wears masks in the building. So we're doing what we can. Nothing fail safe, but knock on wood, we've been okay so far.
That's really great. It sounds like you're really focused in on the health and the safety, and you've taken a lot of extra precautions during this unusual time that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what would you say, how do brands get into the market, and what would the playbook be for those that are looking to get started? What would you say to some, folks that are kind of early into this? How would you describe a playbook for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a time of great opportunity for brands, but also it's enormously challenging, right? I think a lot of brands are in the market now are brands who got their start back before January 1st, 2018, right? These are Prop 215 brands that typically were very regionally based, so they had good footprint in certain dispensaries in a specific region. And now all of a sudden you're seeing, I think, much more focus on brands that have scale and have distribution muscle throughout the entire state. So if you look at where the future is going, I think it's going to be increasingly important for brands not just to have coverage in a specific region or even in Southern California, Northern California. It's going to be important for them to have coverage throughout the entire state. And as you start to look at that, that makes your supply chain execution vastly more complicated, both from building demand at the retail channel with sales representation, but also just logistically handling fulfillment of orders across the state. It's a big state. It's not a lot of retailers. So delivering products and getting broad coverage across all those different retailers can be enormously expensive and challenging. So I think that, one thing I'd say is, as a brand coming into the marketplace right now, one of the first things obviously is identifying specifically a product market fit, making sure that what you're coming to market with is underrepresented in the market and has sustainable margins. B, I'd look for existing supply partners on the ground that are already executing in market. Trying to come in the market and do everything yourself, I think, is the domain of people who have a lot of money. And I think even for those guys, I think they're becoming increasingly aware of the limitations of doing that. Really coming in and trying to say, okay, we're going to grow, we're going to manufacture, we're going to distribute, we're going to do everything ourselves. I think that's increasingly becoming apparent. That's a very, very difficult and expensive thing to execute on. So I think it's about finding partners on the ground who have relationships and who have the experience and the facilities necessary to execute. And I think the next thing is, really focusing on what is your go-to-market strategy? How do you get up and running in market as quickly as possible with a very focused approach on a specific audience segment and building demand around that audience segment? It is a very, this margin is very rational. A lot of people, I think, outside cannabis think that everyone in this market is getting rich. And I think most of the people that are in cannabis understand that it's a very rational marketplace. There's very tight margins. There's a lot of folks that have come into this thing with outsized expectations of where price is going to sit. And the fact is, you've got to be able to operate in a hyper-efficient fashion while pursuing growth. And that's always a big challenge.
Yeah, it's interesting that you comment on collaborations and partnerships being a key strategy. One of the things that we hear, Nancy and I, from these calls that we host so often, and later on at the end, y'all, we're going to give you a survey so you can give us your feedback. We've collected at this point dozens and dozens and dozens of events and feedback forms. And one of the things people always comment on is the value of the relationships and connecting with people on these calls. And so I only highlight that to say that you as in you all may meet someone on one of these calls that could be a strategy partner in some way. And so it's cool that you highlight that, Alex. I'm going to give you one more question, Alex, but before we do, I want to just invite everybody to be thinking, what is the one question that you'd love to ask Alex? And we'll have time for probably 3 or 4 of you to raise your hand and ask. And so be thinking about what's that one question you'd love to ask Alex live here while we have his wisdom in the room. And so as you're thinking about that, Alex, I'll give you one last question, which is, what other final words of wisdom would you have for folks? And if people want to take a deeper dive with you or folks at your organization, how would they connect with you? What's the best way to do that?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll start with that. It's just alex@nootropic.com, where you can go to our site, nootropic.com. So, what I'd say in general is cannabis as a whole is a marketplace that requires enormous amounts of experience and intelligence about the plant. I think too often people come into this space thinking that this is like selling corn or some other, the number of times I hear investors talking about this as a commodity, it makes my head spin. Cannabis is a very unique plant. I think wine is probably the closest analog, but I think that still underrepresents the complexity of this plant and the number of products it can be infused within. So I think it's a very unique plant. And I think that the one thing I'd say which I think probably most of the people on this phone understand already, is having deep domain expertise on your team is of paramount importance. I come from a tech background, so my background is, up until 5 years ago, has been really just as a cannabis consumer, but not as someone integrally involved in the supply chain and understanding the plants. And the difference between having a cursory experience with the plants and actually being in the business and making a livelihood off of it is a completely different thing. And I think what I'm probably most proud of in the company at this point in time is how we've been able to integrate folks that come from outside the cannabis space with people that come from inside the space and get that hybrid. There's a lot of things about running a large-scale compliant manufacturing business that a lot of people from cannabis don't have experience and background in. I mean, literally in cannabis, you've done best if you were the least compliant in a way, right? Your business model and your success was really derived from your ability to avoid the law and avoid some of these regulations. So I think there's, more often than not, when we got in this space, I think there was this kind of mutual distrust, right? The cannabis people didn't trust business people or tech people and vice versa, right? They both thought they didn't know what the hell they were doing and they had nothing to present to the equation. But I think I think people are starting to soften on that. I think it's really about finding people who come from both sides of the fence, who are bringing skill sets that are really valuable, and forming that mutual respect. There are things that people have done in this space that I find absolutely amazing. And I think that the more that cannabis folks can kind of understand that there is value to people that have business experience from outside the space, that those things working together in concert create, I think, the most successful businesses. So I'd say that's the one big takeaway I've had over the last couple of years is get people to work together towards a common goal and bring different experiences from across different vertical markets, and you're going to succeed.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. Let's move into some questions. I'll give you, who's got a question for Alex? Let me see, raise a hand just to capture how many people have questions. Who has a question for Alex? Okay, Annie, hold on. Let's see, who else? How many questions we got here? Okay, I'm just seeing one hand. I know. Okay, and Susanna has a question. Okay, so I'm coming to you and Annie and Susanna in a second, but also I want to give another invitation, which is you could ask Alex a question or you could offer some appreciation for something that you learned from Alex today. So we're going to take 3 or 4 of you, and Annie, I'm coming to you, and then Susanna, and then we'll see who's next after that. So Annie, go for it.
First of all, I would like to offer Alex some appreciation because he has helped me. I took over at the Galley as a CEO, which was a job that I was like, what does that mean? So Alex has been extremely helpful to me. I send him texts, ask him silly little questions, and he's helpful. So thank you so much for helping me. And then my question was, I was wondering, you said you've seen so many amazing things happen in this industry. I was wondering if you had an example of one of those things that really hit your heart or made you feel really, that was very amazing.
Yeah, well, I would probably draw upon the experience I've had with a brand partner of ours, a company called Stone Road. I don't know if many of you guys know Stone Road yet. They primarily focus on pre-rolls, but they've recently launched a flower brand. And Lex has been someone that I've gotten to know here for the last, really, I guess, about 1.5 years. And seeing, Lex has been in the business for some time and is really, this kid has paid the price in many different ways to get his business off the ground, right? Spend nights sleeping in a container because he was trying to prevent theft or whatever was going on in his facility. All these different things I think a lot of people don't see. They're less glamorous side of cannabis. But this kid, I call him a kid, he's a young man, but he's stuck with this brand and has done an absolutely remarkable job and has stayed very on point and has a deep understanding, I think, of how to connect with the people, the consumers that are buying Stone Road products. And the growth that he's experienced over the last really 12 months, I think, has been nothing short of remarkable. So I think that to me has been one of the most empowering things, is seeing that when someone like that can plug into an operation like ours, and it gives them the ability to really scale the brands much more rapidly than they could if they were doing the whole thing themselves. That's been amazing. I mean, I think it's given me a lot of hope that we're in the right place, the right time, doing the right thing. And I think it also shows us where we can do better. So I'd say that. And thanks again for the shout out. Annie, you've been great.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. Susanna, we got one last question from you, and then we're gonna keep on rolling here. We're gonna give Alex some applause, but Susanna, let's come to you first with your question. Go ahead.
The question that I have, and I posted it here, is just, what are you seeing in terms of demand from a brand product production perspective? We know flour's king. What's next? Is it edibles and then drinks? I know that's an emerging category. And what comes next after that? What are you seeing from a sort of meta brand, products production perspective?
Yeah, so I mean, flour is king, but obviously I think with COVID in place, a lot of people spending time at home, edibles and consumables in general have been skyrocketing. Seen a lot of growth and demand around that. I'm sure Annie's definitely feeling that impact in terms of the demand against her facility. It just makes sense. I think if people are at home and they're with their kids and they prefer not to be smoking in the house, they're going to turn to other ways of consumption. I think that's really been something that we've seen a lot of growth around. I mean, I think that's building off of growth has been occurring in that space anyway, and I think this has only accelerated things. Things like beverages. I'm actually a huge believer in beverages. I think ultimately cannabis can be very much a social experience for people, and I think that beverages are naturally it's one of the ways in which we socialize and interact. You go to almost any party anywhere, people are walking around with a drink in their hand. And I think the more we're going to see people become aware that drinking cannabis is even a thing, I think you're going to see a lot of growth. What I think is probably overstated, though, is the rate of adoption of that. There's all sorts of, you ask 100 consumers if they're aware that you can get a cannabis beverage, 98 of them will say they have no idea, right? So I think there's a lack of consumer awareness. I think the consumption venues have to increase. So you have to have more consumption lounges, places where beverages will be a primary form of consumption. Once that happens, I think you'll drive more and more consumer appetite for it, and more consumers will walk into dispensaries and ask them for beverages. Because until that happens, there's a lot of structural problems in getting beverages to market. I think it's a very hot category. A lot of people are talking about it, but nothing really in the supply chain is set up very effectively to deliver that kind of weight and volume. Most of the vans that deliver material are Sprinter vans. They're not designed to carry beverages around. So there's all this pick and pack infrastructure around loading these vans and getting product moved around. It's also heavy and expensive. So a lot of these places, cannabis can be a fairly compact form factor. You start delivering pallets of beverages to different locations, it gets very expensive. And most of those retailers don't have the infrastructure to take a large amount of beverages, right? They don't have the storage space. They don't have the refrigeration or the display space to carry this. So I think it's, big believer in 10 years. I think it's going to be a double-digit market share product category, at least in mature markets like California and Colorado, Washington, and the like. But I think there's a lot of structural problems and consumer awareness that needs to get solved before that happens.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. Great question, Susanna. Thank you so much for that. Hey, let's do this. Let's give Alex a little round of applause by doing our little digital round of applause. Or you can do this. That's right. You can do this with your hands. And then here's another way we show appreciation, which is in the chat box. Drop down your favorite lesson that Alex shared today as a way to appreciate him being here and acknowledge his time that he took out for us today? What's the one lesson you appreciated so much from Alex today? And then after we read off some of those from the chat box, I am coming to you, Annie. So stand by because you are up next. What was the lesson that you appreciated most from Alex today? And Alex, as people are dropping those in, just wanted to say again, thank you so much for your time today. And, I know you're a busy guy, so thanks for being here and thanks for sharing all your wisdom.
No, thank you, Michael.
Yeah, yeah. All right, cool. We got a lot of great things rolling in. So everybody, when you get a chance, read through all these great comments that are coming in the chat box. And Annie, I'm coming to you next. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to roll. You are, all right. So Nancy, do you want to introduce Annie real quick? And then we'll keep moving.
Sure. I would love to introduce Annie. Annie and I go back pretty far to, just about 5 years or so. Annie was one of the co-founders of a group that I helped start, Women's Cannabis Business Development here in Sonoma County. And we're hoping to be resurrecting that pretty soon. But she's the CEO and CMO of the Galley, which is a cannabis co-manufacturing facility in Santa Rosa. And she's got a lot of history in marketing and media and also in cannabis, as she owned the Derby Bakery when I met her, which earned Best Edibles in the Emerald Cup. She's been doing some amazing things over at the Galley, and I know she'll love to tell us more about that. So take it away, Annie.
There we are. Okay, unmute.
You're on mute there. Annie, are you ready for some questions?
Let's see. Nancy asked me to talk a little bit more about myself.
Sure. Yeah. You want to kick us off with a little more of an intro?
Oh, sure. Can you guys see me?
Yep. I'm going to spotlight you. Hold on one second.
Yeah, there you go. I cannot see myself anymore.
Yeah. Go
there we go.
Tell us a little bit more about you.
Sorry. So I am the CEO and the CMO of the Galley. And so we are a co-packer, co-manufacturer. And we have 5 areas of production. We have a huge commercial kitchen. We have a room solely dedicated for topicals and tinctures. We have a candy line, a chocolate line, and all of those rooms that I've just described has high end and high output equipment in it. So the idea here is to really be a true co-packer and be able to not doing so much by hand. We also have a distribution license, which at this point in time, we're only doing fulfillment. We don't have any salespeople on staff because at this point we need to really focus on getting the manufacturing up and running. So that's what we're doing.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Annie. So in the midst of all of this, this space that we're in right now with yes. COVID, what are you feeling is most important to you right now?
The most important thing to me right now is literally the safety of my staff and myself. COVID, we were very, very lucky to get our license literally right as COVID arrived. And it kind of took us all a little bit by, I don't want to say surprise, but, we were kind of like, wow, what are we going to do about this? Because there were so many unknowns, there was so much misinformation out there that thankfully by my side, I have Shireen Griffith, who is my director of operations. She has a ton of experience in setting up facilities and food manufacturing. She also came over from CannaCraft, so she has some cannabis experience. And so her and I sat down and just decided, you know what? We need to set up our facility, in the highest safety, the best protocol, and we need to be prepared for a full-blown crisis, which is kind of where this is at to some degree. So, we didn't mess around right from the beginning. We were, very, very careful with our protocol. Everybody has to wear a mask. Everybody gets temperature checked. And so that's very, very important to me right now. Also, connecting with my staff and helping them to understand that I'm not just sitting up here not worrying about this, that my door is wide open and that I feel the same fear that they do. And, I know that that's helpful to them. We also continue to provide them with the resources to stay safe, excuse me. And we also, again, we have open dialogue all the time about what's happening here. So that right now is what is on my mind a lot.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And just give everybody a heads up, and we're going to go through these questions with Annie. We've got a few questions, and then you all can submit your questions. So write them down, be thinking about them. So Annie, in the midst of opening a business during a global pandemic, that's a big deal. What would
Yes.
you, so kind of two-part question, anything else you want to say about taking that massive leap? And then part two to that question is, what else are you doing to drive your continued success as we navigate this, this pandemic that we're
The
in?
unknown. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, I kind of answered that ahead of time, but yeah, the very strict protocol. I mean, when somebody comes with a mask that's, down around their nose or on their head, that's a no-go. And, we have masks that are really, really good that cover a lot of your face. And, I hand those out to people, and make sure that, if they're not wearing their mask properly, that gets discussed. We're also limiting the amount of people that are on site now. I used to, and for anyone who knows me, I'm a massive social beast. And so this has been very difficult for me, because for me, part of, getting to know my customer is very important. That connection to the person is very important. So, but we have to limit those people who come on site. And so I set up most of my talks now through Zoom, whereas before I was, touring people through the site and having a nice lunch with them and really sitting down and talking. And so we're not doing that anymore. Obviously, we're during production, we're very careful about where everybody is standing. We did pivot very early on, and we produced hand sanitizer, and we did that for two reasons. One, we wanted to reach out and help the community. We gave out the hand sanitizer to hospitals, grocery stores, any essential business. We gave it out to the homeless encampments. So we also have a ton of hand sanitizer everywhere. And we have these little stations where in every room that you walk in, there's 3 or 4 little stations where you can literally spray yourself down if you'd like. So, I mean, I usually just do my hands and my arms sometimes, but so we want to make sure that there's access to safety at all times, basically.
That's awesome. And it's so cool in the midst of opening a business during COVID, you're also, it sounds like, giving back to the community and trying to support others in addition to growing your own business. So that's great.
Yeah. And we also, it's important to me too. I very much want to engage my staff once a week. And we get together and it's an open dialogue. I also have a suggestion box. If somebody's not comfortable talking in front of the group, they can put a little note in my box if they have a concern, and then I'll address it with them one-on-one. But just keeping them engaged is really a powerful tool for eliminating fear to some degree. So.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's wonderful. So just a couple more questions, and then we're going to come to everybody else to see what questions they have. But Annie, when you think about the next, say, 12 to 24 months, what are you seeing in the industry as some of the greatest opportunities?
Well, for me, I'm all about collaboration and not competition. And most of the time that works really well for me. And sometimes I get bit. But like Alex and I are working together, and I know all the other co-packers in the state. And so just these strategic partnerships that are coming up and being formed they're really important to me. And as you all know, I'm super people person. I'm all about people. And a lot of times my customers will say to me, hey, what's most important? I'm like, you are, because if I can work something out with you, we'll be able to figure it out. So I think just in the cannabis industry, I mean, I come from the art world and we're very cool people, but the cannabis industry, I've never seen such hardworking people that are willing to help out at all times. And I mean, I never ever call someone and they say, I'm sorry, I can't tell you that. I always get an answer, and I always spend my time helping people as well. So those types of partnerships. I also hope that we're going to start seeing some more healthy products on the market. And we do have 3 or 4 customers that are going to be putting out some, not such high sugar products, more like not a granola bar, but some of the interesting, nice sports bars that are out there that are not full of sugar. So I'm hoping it surprises me that California doesn't have this as much, but I'm hoping to see that. I also see the male population being way underserviced. I mean, if someone could put a sports cream in an apple box, I think you'd be gold. So, and I keep suggesting that to my customers. Somebody needs to do that because, you know, there's a lot of products out there, low dose for women, which is great. So, but I think the male population needs to be served a bit more. I also see the delivery partnerships as being very, very important because there's a whole slew of people, especially now with COVID, but even before that, these people, these baby boomers, you know, they don't want to go into dispensary. I mean, I have tons of friends that are, you know, middle-aged and they're like, I don't want to go into dispensary. And so these delivery partnerships, and I think those are becoming very important and will continue to be very important. I think we need more research in cannabis, obviously. And then lastly, more funding for women-owned companies. Yeah. So
Awesome.
that's what I see coming down the pipe.
Awesome. You're getting a lot of thumbs up here and a lot of applause. So everybody that is here, if you could ask one question of Annie, we've got a few minutes. Who has a question? Give me a hand raised high if you have a question. Just want to see who all has one. Okay, Susanna, I see. Susanna, I'm coming to you first. I saw your hand first. Go for it.
Hi, Susanna. It's good to see you.
Hi, Annie. So good to
Hi.
see you.
So
I'm
good to see you too.
Happy to be here.
Mm.
I love hearing what you guys have to say. And the question that I have for both you and Alex is, do you guys have good recommendations on any good marketing folks or teams in the cannabis space, maybe who came over from, you know, non-cannabis, who are working with small to medium-sized brands, especially on how to drive traffic to delivery services and to dispensaries? Because so often what we're hearing, you know, is as a small brand, but that's been in the space for quite a while, is yes, we'll take your product, but you need to drive traffic through the door. And so it's not only do we have to, you know, make this awesome product and sell it, but we also have to drive traffic into our partners. And just curious, yeah, if you guys have any recommendations or specific, you know, direction that you would lead any of us operators that are on the call.
So first off, I'm happy to put together kind of a list of the people that I know because I was in that space for 28 years. I was marketing, graphic design, blah, blah, blah. So I do know a lot of people that are doing things and getting into cannabis that aren't going to upcharge you the cannabis price. So there's that. So I'm happy to put together a list and get that out to everyone. But the model that I particularly like and that I'm doing, you got to stay in front of people. And if you look, and the Hall of Flowers is doing a really good job of sending out their weekly emails once a week, and they're featuring brands. And so I don't know if you've noticed the things that I've been sending out, Susanna, but it's once a week. And they're real short, and it's just a real short feature. You know, like this week I featured what I was doing. So it's all about staying in front of people. And so, you know, you can pull down that dispensary list off the California Department of Public Health. And if you don't have it, I'm happy to share it with you because that's the list that I use. And because it's a public list, you don't have to worry about the whole spam issues. And I would literally just stay in front of those people. Use MailChimp, and I'm happy to help you learn that. It's super easy. And just feature one of your products each week. You got to keep it short and simple because nobody has time to read like 4 paragraphs. So that's what I would recommend. And it's really just about staying in front of people. So, and especially now with COVID, you know, we're not really seeing people as much. So the email thing, people actually read their emails a bit more, I'm finding. I get really good response from the stuff that I send out.
Yeah. Great, thanks.
The only thing I'd add to that is, you know, when it comes to driving consumer demand, Instagram is really the platform, right?
Thank you,
so
Alex.
it's getting people on board that can help you drive traffic on Instagram and having a very specific brand approach for that platform. You know, it's challenging, but if you can get it right, it can be enormously rewarding for brands. And honestly, given the limitations of most of the platforms, it's about the only game in town.
Yeah.
So that would be my.
And also too,
my 2
LinkedIn
cents.
has surprised me. I just literally put my LinkedIn account back together again. And I'm surprised of the inquiries I get on LinkedIn. And I think that's it's up and coming. Facebook, no. Twitter, no. So yeah, Instagram first, LinkedIn second.
Awesome. Great question, Susanna. We've got time for one more question, maybe two. Who else has a question? Give me a hand high so I can see. And if you're, oh, Alex has a question. Okay, go for it, Alex.
Yeah, Andy, I mean, I guess, just helping people understand what has been the most challenging thing of getting the business off the ground for you?
Money. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we spent so much time budgeting, and I'm pretty good at fundraising, but I've had to recently raise more funds in the middle of pandemic, which was not fun. But for example, our building, once we opened it up, it was, we had seismic we had to do. We had a whole bunch of unexpected things. So I would say even more than the regulation hoop jumping, just budgeting and being a little bit underfunded, and working on in that bootstrap model that, I already brought a company up in bootstrap, and I really worked really hard to not do that again. But that's been an issue, and we're in actually a third raise, which is going really well, but that's definitely been challenging.
Awesome. Great question. Hey, let's give Annie some special appreciation. And you can do this with your little thumbs up or applause. Albert's got it. Kim's got it. There you go. And again, same question. What did you appreciate about what Annie shared there? You could drop it in the chat box. As you're doing that, I'm going to hand it to Nancy. She's going to tell us a little special announcement before we go into our next activity.
Not necessarily an announcement, but really just as a response to some of the things that Annie mentioned, which I thought were really, I want to appreciate Annie for bringing that up. Funding for women owned companies, I think, this is so important, and just I think funding in general has been just so hard right now during a pandemic, but also being able to connect, with the kinds of businesses that you need to connect with. It's why I'm here. And so if you need introductions to delivery companies or dispensaries, please let me know where you want to focus. I'm happy to make that happen. As some of you probably know, if you're clients of Sensi, that we're just about to relaunch and go off of our pause that we've been on for too long. It's been really hard to figure out, but we've managed to make a decision to go to digital only for the next till the end of the year, because we all can understand the issues of delivering print magazines right now. So in the digital space, though, we've been adding an incredible amount of products and channels, and so we're going to be bringing a lot more to the table and a lot more ways for us to be able to promote your brands. So please make sure that we get to talk over the next week so we can talk about all of those things that we're launching with Sensi 3.0.
Awesome, Nancy.
Super cool. Hey, everybody, before we go, we're going to give you one last chance to do some connecting. And again, Nancy and I always hear this is your favorite part. And so we're going to give you a chance to answer 2 questions in small groups. And the questions are really simple. We heard a lot of really interesting information today, a lot of awesome tips from Alex and Annie. And the reality is, whenever we get information, it only really is valuable when we put it into action, right? So we're going to drop you into groups in just a second. You're going to have the opportunity to answer 2 questions, and I'm going to put them in the chat. And they're real simple. They are, what was your most powerful takeaway today? And what's the one thing you're going to put into action immediately? The one thing you're going to put into action immediately. So what's your most powerful takeaway, and what's the one thing you're going to put into action right away? Be thinking about that as we head into groups. We'll pull you back for one last thing before we come away from this event. So you'll be in your rooms for about 6 minutes or so only about 1 minute per person to answer what was your most powerful takeaway, and what's the one action you're going to take. Here we go, everybody. Go make some friends, and we'll see you in about 5 or 6 minutes. Enjoy. All right, sweet. Hey, everybody, last question, and this question is to serve all of you on the call, which is, what is that one action that you're going to commit to based on what you learned today? What's that one action you're going to commit to? And again, we'd love to hear from 3 or 4 of you. What's that one action that you're going to commit to? And you can just raise your hand, and we'll come around and see who's got what. Danielle, coming to you first. Go for it.
I'm going to show up, and I'm invited to different networking events and whatnot.
All right. Awesome. You're getting some thumbs up. That's super cool. Well, we look forward to seeing you at the next one of these then, and you will be invited. So that's great. Thank you so much. It's great to meet you. Green Bee, did you have your hand up? You're on mute.
I had my thumb up. That's all.
Okay. All right. Since you're here, do you want to share your action with us?
I think, well, I'm talking to my marketing team, but I think we're going to start emailing dispensaries directly just from the state list. I think that's a great idea. Thanks, Annie.
Super cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, Green Bee. Let's hear from 2 or 3 more. What is your action that you're going to take? What's your one action you're going to take? Or maybe it's 2 or 3 actions. You get to pick. What's the action you want to take? You can just raise your hand, or for those of you that don't have video, you can unmute yourselves. I'm looking for hands. I might even just pick on somebody. Annie, coming to you. Go for it. I see your hand up. Oh wait, there you go. You're muted still. There you go.
I was just going to say that this whole thing made me feel really good and happy, and it's reminding me, since I can't see, my people anymore, that I'm going to stop picking up the phone and start doing more Zoom calls, because this made my heart full and feel good to see, and it made me feel supported. And so that's my biggest takeaway.
Awesome. Love that. Thank you so much.
Great
That's
event.
super cool. Very cool. Very cool. All right. One last person. Who else wants to share the action that they're going to take? And I'm looking at a few of you. I might even just pick on somebody. Somebody better raise their hand. Tony, coming to you. Go for it. Take us home. Oh, hold on. You're muted. There you go.
Everybody in my room was really interested in the marketing ideas, and we're all like, oh, we got to get on Instagram. So actually, I've been doing, I've been working on Facebook, but I think I'm going to make a real big effort to get more cross. I'm really bad at social media. Nancy knows that. I can see her nodding, but I've really got to get up on it. And, my Instagram is mostly pictures I take on my morning bike ride. I got to kind of make it work,
That's awesome, Tony. Thank you for sharing that. And it's interesting to hear how much energy there is around the social media and around the marketing. And so, Nancy, maybe we could talk about, that's our next speaker, perhaps, a social media expert.
There you go.
Would that be cool? Would you all be interested in that? Give me a thumbs up if you'd love to see that.
I would.
Next time. All right, cool. Nancy, let's talk about that in the next couple of weeks. Maybe we can find somebody to bring in.
It's really got to be a social media person who understands cannabis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Nancy, I have a person for you.
Yay.
Oh, good. This is so cool. Well, good. Well, we've already got ideas for what's next. Nancy, I'm going to hand it over to you to make any kind of final thank yous or announcements before we close things up.
All righty. Sorry about the noise. I don't know if you guys can hear. There's a chipper going on in my backyard or somewhere nearby. I again, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a great group, and I hope you enjoyed the breakout rooms as well as our great speakers. Thank you, Alex, again, for being here, and thank you, Nootropic, for all of your presence as well. I see Dean is still here. And Annie, thank you again. It was really great to hear from you and get a perspective on all the stuff that you've had to deal with and how well you're responding to it. It really, I think everybody really enjoyed it as well.
Thank you, Nancy. And Michael.
Thank you. And Michael, as always, it's so great to do events with you. I just can't wait to do more. And I invite you all to connect with me and let me know, just like you did now, what kind of topics you want us to cover as we go on. We're going to be shifting a little bit with Sensi Connect. The new Sensi Connects is coming out. So we're going to be shifting a little bit that way, but I think you guys will love the networking opportunities that we're bringing. So yeah, thanks for being here. And I wish we had a giveaway for you, but next time we will.
And thank you, Nancy. You are a super connector. And your magazine has been so amazing and how you've pivoted as well. And I mean, you support me so much. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's a pleasure to work with you and to be your friend. So,
thank you, Annie.
everyone should be friends with the people you work with. That's my parting advice.
Right.
I mean, you don't have to be best friends, but hang out with people that you work with. It's fun.
It is fun. All right.
Awesome.
Any last comments you guys have? Anything you want to appreciate?
I just want to say thanks on behalf of Alex. I think he got pulled away right here at the end, but he really appreciated the opportunity to speak to this group. So thank you very much.
Yes.
I really appreciated being here and everything that you had to say. I learned a lot today. So thank you for your time and your wisdom.
Of course.
Anybody else?
Well, I have a question, Nancy. Are you gonna? I noticed this has been recording. Will you send out? Awesome.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, we'll have it. We'll do a little editing on it, and I'll make it available as soon as I can get it out. So
Awesome. Cool.
You can see it in the Sensi NorCal group on Facebook, and also I'll be able to email it to each of you because you registered for the event. I have your email.
Cool. I want to put it on our website.
Yeah, thanks.
Which is launching soon.
As well.
Alex, are you back on? Do you want to say goodbye to the group? You're still on mute.
Thank you. Yeah, no, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Just that pulled away, as Dean said. But yeah, you guys have been great. Sensi support has always been much appreciated. So looking forward to more events like this.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time, Alex. Really appreciated seeing you here and listening to all your great advice. You got some really great feedback from people. I'll share that with you as well. And look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.